So one of the first game mechanics you will encounter is the rune mechanic. Runes can be collected by completing the Ancient Altar Challenge or through the Rebirth Shop. In order to unlock each rune, you'll have to be the necessary level to get that rune. So like the Vitality rune and the Wisdom rune, I am not a high enough level. I would have to be level 42 and 45 in order to unlock those runes. But since I am not, I don't even have the option to get them. So if you can see the Agility rune, I'm a high enough level, but I have to first at least get one of that rune type, either through the Ancient Altar Challenge or the Rebirth Shop, in order to unlock that and be able to equip it as an active rune. After that, after you get one rune of each type, obtaining additional runes of that type will result in leveling up the rune, enhancing its abilities, increasing the number in red. So, for instance, the spell rune, I get increased attack power by a percentage of my maximum mana. So I believe when you get a level 1 spell rune, you get increased attack power by 20% of your maximum mana. Since mine is level 3, I've collected multiple spell runes. I get increased attack power by 36% of my maximum mana. Currently, the maximum rune level for each rune is level 15. This will likely be increased at some point, but this has been the cap for some time. You will want to unlock all the rune slots fairly early in the game, as it will increase your fighting capability and allow you to progress further. You start with, I believe, 2 rune slots, and then you can buy each additional rune slot for additional gems. That's a really good investment, so you'll want to make sure you unlock those early in the game. As you can see in the middle of the screen, you'll have up to 5 preset rune sets you can make. I just have 2 right now, but this will allow you to change out your runes quickly. Sometimes you'll use certain runes to defeat mobs of enemies during a stage, and different runes to defeat a boss. You'll also use different runes for dungeons or challenges. Once you use a certain rune set in a dungeon, the game will save this preference so you don't have to switch out each time. So if we go to my challenges, go to the mines, I have a specific rune set preset for running the mine challenge. So what I do, I just select it once I have my preset. So this is my second rune set because I'm using different skills. In order to go that, I just go same with the skills. You can create different skill sets, and then you can create matching rune sets to go with it. Whatever one you're last hovered over will be what runes you are using for your standard battle and dungeon runs. But then when you go into the challenge, you can change it so you use a different set for that. But I have it preset because I want to use these skills for my dungeon run, because using the divine protection isn't going to be very useful. The rain is not going to be, the arrows aren't really useful for the mines challenge either. So you will want to use different runes and different skills for certain challenges and dungeons, because there are better ones to use in different scenarios. So early on, a few of the really good runes are the intelligence rune, because it increases your it allows your attack to scale off of your maximum mana. So for instance, if I go to equipment and then stats, you can see I have 585 maximum mana. And then if you remember for my rune, I get 36% bonus attack based off of my maximum mana. So I'm getting about a 210 extra attack that is factored into this 1906 number because of my maximum mana and using the spell rune. So that's really useful, especially later it becomes useful as you upgrade that spell rune. You can get easily over 60% of your mana can give you bonus attack. Another good rune is the intelligence rune, because it decreases the mana required for all your skills by a certain percent. As you upgrade the intelligence rune, the mana cost is decreased even further. This is really important early, mid-game, because you are kind of mana constrained. You need to fire off skills very quickly, and that helps you not run out of mana. The rest of the rune slots are typically chosen depending on the skills you're using. So I'm using Holy Arrow, Divine Protection. So if you go into my runes, you can see I'm using a lot of those runes because they correspond to certain skills in the most places. So like the Light Rune makes all my holy skills deal increased damage. So since I'm using the Holy Arrow skill, I use the Regeneration Rune, which allows me to heal whenever I use the Holy Arrow skill. Another really good rune early on is if I can tap over, the Flame Rune. That's because Meteor is a really good skill early on. You're probably going to want to use it to try and defeat that 10-10 boss on normal mode. This rune will increase the number of meteors, which helps with damage and stun time. Your rune choices will change depending on what skills you're using. It will change over time, just depending on what skills you currently use and what you end up using, because there are different runes and different skills that are better for different phases of the game. Finally, it is important to note that one other item you receive through the Ancient Altar Challenge, and that is a rune fragment. Now, I don't have the option because I am not level 45 yet, but once you reach level 45, you'll be able to start collecting rune fragments. Every 100 rune fragments you collect, you'll be able to randomly earn a unique rune. These are the bottom runes at each of the areas right here. So we have the Vampire Rune, the Wisdom Rune, the Magic Sword Rune, Faith Rune, and the Reaper Rune. Each of these runes give really interesting abilities. They're not your standard runes, but they are a lot harder to get. So what happens is you have to collect 100 rune fragments, and then randomly you can convert your rune fragments into a random one of these 5 unique runes. Another way you can get more rune fragments is once you max out a rune to level 15. So if I max out my spell rune to level 15, each additional spell rune I get will be automatically converted to rune fragments. So it might be harder to get rune fragments early on in the game, but once you start maxing some runes out, you'll be able to collect the rune fragments a lot easier. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. I'll try to respond to all the comments regularly or make a separate video if necessary.